Can we be seated?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sallu ala nabiyil karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina wa nabiyyina wa maulana Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Salatin da muka yi mun ba da shahada ya zuwa ga annabi sallallahu alaihi wa sallama. Allah ka yarda shi da ayyukan mu a lokacin wannan salati. Allah ka karbi addu'o'in mu da ibadodin mu. Allah ka so mu, Allah ka yarda da mu, Allah ka ba mu isbati, Allah ka ba mu sadiqi zuwa ga al'amuran baki daya. Wannan gagarumin taro da ake gabatarwa yau, wanda Allah ka kawo kowa nan lafiya, alamai da kowa gidansa lafiya. Wannan maimayin baki da muka yi daga Abuja, Allah ya yarda ya kawo su lafiya, alamai da su kowa gidansa lafiya. Mai girma gwamna, Allah ya kara taimakon sa. Wannan ayyuka da yake muna na alheri a wannan ƙasa, Allah ya saka mishi da alheri. Allah ya sa ya gama lafiya. Allah ka biya dukan bukatocin mu na alheri baki daya. Allah shi muna maganin abin da ya dame mu. Allah ya zauna da mu lafiya, zauna da ƙasar mu lafiya. Bijahi bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya rabbana ya halikal awalimi hul bainana baina kulli zalimi wa jazil kulli man ilayna ahsana wa jazihi anna jazal hasana. اللهم ارفع عنا الجهد والجهل والجوع والعري وكشف عنا من البلاء ما لا يكشفه غيرك. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of KEBBI State, our boss, the Honorable Minister of Information, members of the National Assembly, Honorable Speaker, KEBBI State House of Assembly, Chief Judge and Grand Cadi, representative of His Royal Highness, members of the KEBBI State Executive Council, Secretary to the State Government, Head of Service, Directors from the Federal Ministry of Information, National Presidents of NGGTour and NOJ, Local Government Chairmen, my colleagues, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I feel highly honored and privileged to welcome you to this important segment of the Good Governance Talk. The town hall meeting is deliberately conducted at the end of the tour to afford people the opportunity to rub minds with the Minister and His Excellency the Executive Governor and other members of his team. Over the past 4 days, His Excellency the Executive Governor has conducted the Honorable Minister and his team around project sites all over the state. I'm sure the Honorable Minister has seen and noted the development efforts of this government in all states. I believe you have seen practical governance. Ladies and gentlemen, You will recall that it was the late Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmad Bello of blessed memory, who once said that one who has done well should blow his trumpet, as if he does not, others will not do it for him, since they will be busy blowing theirs. Please, Honorable Minister, gentlemen of press, join us. We are now presenting our trumpet, and I'm sure you are going to blow it for us. I must say this administration has tried to be balanced and equitable in view of the available resources. During our tour, some people asked us, where do we get these funds to execute these gigantic projects? I said, just simple. Proper management of scarce resources. That is what His Excellency did, and that's what he did to achieve it. And we in KEBBI, we are proud that today we are presenting our Excellency to the whole world, and I'm sure the trumpet will be blown. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, permit me to welcome in our midst the National President of NGGTour and Norwich. These gentlemen of the press are responsible for regulating the media industry. Distinguished guests, you are welcome to KEBBI State, the most peaceful state in the country. You will recall that not a single bullet was released in KEBBI State to maintain this peace. So the other states should copy from Sayyiduna Samu Akingari, our executive governor. I call KEBBI peaceful state in the country, the land of equity and opportunities for all Nigerians. Sanunku Dazua, wassalamu alaikum.
Muina the guest one. Thank you very much, Commissioner. President of the NUJ North, whom I now have the honor and privilege to invite to please come forward and make his own comments and give his goodwill message. Malam Shehu Ahmad.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Your Excellency, permit me to stand on existing protocol that has already been established. I have the mandate of the President of NUJ to speak for the Union, and I will want to start this way, because I've been part of the tour since the beginning of the tour. There is a school of thought that says projects are not necessarily the yardstick of measuring dividend of democracy. But I think the school of thought has forgotten that projects are meant to serve people and facilitate their way of life. And therefore, any project that is cited or executed with the opinion of the people, I think it should be included as part of the dividend of democracy. Let me go straight to the Duku area where we saw a bridge linking KEBBI and Makera, and that of Dogon Duse. This is clearly a project that has been a problem for successive governments. I'm sure it is the yearnings and aspirations of the people of KEBBI State to have this kind of linkages, because we understand in Makera there is an international market, and with this facility it will ease and facilitate the movement of goods and services. We understand also there is a big rice market in Suru, and that Dogon Duse bridge will also help in movement of goods, particularly that we have seen a number of rice farms which will help in the movement of the goods. Let me link this with the network of roads we saw, which are uncountable. You go to any route, from here you link up to that. I think it's worthy of commendation. Let me also say that His Excellency has shared with us his secret of being a peaceful state. Many people wondered how the people of KEBBI State are enjoying the peace in spite of the security challenges across the country. And he did say there is this understanding between the government, the ulamas, and the traditional institutions. And we saw that in Mahuta, where a palace was built for a traditional ruler. We also see some mosques built for ulama. I think this is in line with the fact that if you have people that work together to promote peace, and you bring them closer to the government, I think this is also a welcome development. I also appreciate, on behalf of NUJ, the partnership between the state, local government, and federal government, and to some extent private sector. What we saw in Labana was a clear indication of a good partnership. And it's only in this state that I know that we see clearly projects that are defined in such a manner that you know that this is a local government project and this is a state project. Hitherto in so many places you have this problem of joint accounts. You hardly can differentiate between a state and a local government account. Let me say that it is very clear in this state that the local government roads, state roads, federal roads. In some instances we see where with the collaboration of the federal government, he executed federal government roads even though he's expecting refund. Let me also say that the policy of upgrading schools, particularly day schools to boarding schools, in a reasonable number of them, and also upgrading of health facility to general hospital is also worthy of commendation. But let me say that, unfortunately, I observe a neglect in my constituency, the media. When we arrived Zuru and Yauri, I understand the state TV cannot be seen in these areas. Incidentally, there is an opportunity for His Excellency because we saw an NTA in Zuru, but it has some difficulty. It is at this point that I want to plead with His Excellency to see how he can assist NTA so that these areas can also see the dividend of democracy that is going on in this administration. Because as the first speaker rightly pointed out, you may not want to blow your own trumpet. You may not want to celebrate your projects. But I have a feeling that since it is a public trust, people deserve to know what you are doing. There are instances where government steal projects. If you have a successful government, somebody will claim to have done a project because you did not say you did this. So it's very, very important that you have a good media outfit that will sell this project. Let me say that also, I'm worried by the health facility we saw in Marafa. I think in Kokobesi or Zuru, and also a secondary school in Augi. I'm worried because this health facility, I understand, cut across all the local governments. And I'm worried about the standard and the quality of that project. At this point, also, let me say that I noticed that in KEBBI State, the way people relate with the governor, and us particularly, it has clearly shown that the governor has brought humility and simplicity in governance. Thank you very much.
The representative of Ratao President, in the person of Mr. Sunday Olu Jethro, the National Deputy President of Ratao, to please come forward and make his observations and comments. Sunday Jethro.
Thank you, Mr. Adama. Your Excellencies, the Governor of KEBBI State, Your Excellencies, the Minister of information. Let me here stand on the existing protocol because of the time. Your Excellencies, when we are in KEBBI State University yesterday at Alero, someone described you as Bayachi Sigmo Bayaberi Achi. I equally want to add here that you are a bridge builder, you are a road master, including aviation too. You are a health and water providers. But Your Excellency, I must relay with you that though my partner have said a lot about information, but I want to say here that the program we are watching here right now, the people of KEBBI State, they have no opportunity to watch it outside this place because they cannot receive signals across the state in this place. And as I did discuss with you, Your Excellency, the radio and television in KEBBI State, our workers there, they told me that anything about salary and all the rest, I will not ask you to do anything about it, that you have done a lot for them. That is a good one. But what they are asking for is the infrastructure there. They are asking for equipment. They are asking for vehicles. They are asking for cameras and all the rest. Your Excellency, it would be nice if you can provide all this to your own radio and television stations so that your project, you have done a lot, and everybody believes that you have done a lot, so that they can project all your activities in the state. And Your Excellency, you have provided a lot of infrastructure in this state. But I want to say here that you still have to empower your citizenry, because without that, Your Excellency, all the infrastructure provided will be destabilized by the poverty of the people. What am I saying in effect? Your Excellency, I have not seen Keke Napep in this place, which will assist a lot of our youth in gaining employment and getting what they can use as a means of living. Your Excellencies, we have visited a lot of places, and as I said, we have seen a lot of things. We have been to Augi, we have been to Argungu, we have been to Ambursa, we have seen the airport we have been constructed, and we have been to Aleru, we have been to different parts of places. But you told us that we have just visited only 7 local governments out of the 21 local governments. And we believe that what we have seen is a beautiful one, and we pray that you continue, and may the Allah continue to guide you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The representative of the president of NAWAJ. Your Excellency, the president of Ratau, sorry. Program that is going on here from the presidency. He says everybody looks so handsome and smooth-faced on live TV. Now, wow. And the whole arrangement is the coziest so far for the audience. So this is just to tell you that people are watching all over and making comments as we go along. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Chief Honorable Mrs. Okoche Genevieve, former Commissioner for Women Affairs, who is Commissioner of Women Affairs, who is representing the National Council on Women's Societies, to please come forward and make her comments and observation. Mrs. Genevieve.
Your Excellency, the Governor of KEBBI State, the Honorable Minister for Information, the members of the National Assembly, I can see the representatives of the 2 federal constituencies we have in KEBBI State, all other protocols observed, members of the media. I am here on behalf of the President National Council of Women's Society, Chief Mrs. Nkeshimba, to send our goodwill message to the governor and the good people of KEBBI State, a message of hope, a message of love, and a message of solidarity. Your Excellency and the people of KEBBI State, honestly, the women are involved in the good governance tour just to see how the governance has been brought to the less privileged, to our various homes, to the families in every state they visited. And I want to make my comment to Your Excellency. In the transformational agenda of Mr. President in the education sector, in the health sector, in every aspect of sectors, Mr. President has been involved in transforming Nigeria. Come 2020, you have done excellently. Honestly, even beyond what we have seen, we have privileged to be in the Ministry of Women Affairs. You can see that the ministry can control different ministries in government. The power is still in that ministry. The women affairs are working. The tourism is there. We can see the cabinet, the women, the men and women who are specialized in bead makings and all sorts of things. Your Excellency, you have touched the life of the people of KEBBI State. And I know that the VVIF sector, which we have seen in the social sector of the women affairs, is something to commend you. We have thanked you on behalf of the Nigerian women. We have thanked you on behalf of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for establishing that center. Your Excellency, you have gone into the machine that screened the cancer. These are the issues that Nigerian women are vulnerable to. The cancer, the VVIF, and we have been crying and said, who will come to our rescue? We didn't know that KEBBI State is where Nigerian women will run to. Honestly, I wouldn't know what to say, but Nigerian women, the Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs, is a vibrant commissioner. But Your Excellency, my humble request, in the State Executive Council, which I have seen, the constitution of 7 members, I can only see a column for the women. And all these women you have empowered are skilled in health management, skilled in steel management. I want to see the women being the Commissioner for Health. I want to see them be the Commissioner for Steel. I want to see them be everything in the sector so that they will contribute their quotas. On behalf of Nigerian women, I want to say we have gone to KEBBI State. We have seen, we have heard, in all and all, we are satisfied with what we saw on ground.
Executive Governor, KEBBI State, the Honorable Minister of Information, may I also stand on the existing protocol. Let me start by saying, as a Nigerian, as an activist, as somebody from the Northwest Zone of Nigeria, I am delighted, and I must also start by saying I'm very happy with what I saw over the past 4 days that we are here in KEBBI State. While we were on tour in the South-South Zone, and we were later told our next destination is going to be the Northwest, I was afraid. I was really afraid because of the number of projects I've seen. I was really afraid because I have seen commitments. But coming to KEBBI, I have also seen some sign of development. I must start by thanking the governor for doing what he has done to KEBBI State in the area of infrastructural development, particularly the good road networks we have seen, linking the rural areas and the capital city. In the area of education, I must also confess, as a former student activist, I was impressed with what I saw at the State University Alero. So also in the area of health delivery. And more particularly, as the minister had said, is the question of security. I am from Kano, and I know what we are going through over the problem of security challenges. So I'm happy, I'm congratulating the good people of KEBBI State for at least this effort to ensure that there is security in KEBBI. Let me also state that hitherto, I have never known that there is an airstrip that is to be upgraded into an international airport. It was when we came on this tour that we saw this, and I must say that we are impressed. However, I have these observations. One, Mr. Governor, sir, I think in the area of governance, like the two last speakers have said, particularly the women, I think there is the need for more inclusion of women in the art of governance. It's important so that we have a gender-balanced society. Two, in the area of agriculture, which I was also marveled and amazed, I am also from a community that is into rice irrigation and all these projects. And we have gone and have seen the number of, projects and the silos and all the grain depots and the milling centers. I think beyond those things, the state government needs to come to the aid of our peasant farmers in the area of provision of basic equipment, particularly tractors, and making those brutally, or permit me to say, use the Hausa, for a proper understanding of it. That is to say, access roads for, finished products, because in some of the areas that we went to, even reporters had to be conveyed, in hillocks and jeeps. So it is very worrisome when I saw that, and I knew a lot can be tapped if we provide access roads to these our teeming peasant farmers to be able to, one, transport their products and be able to transport equipment that can help them in their own, production and farming. So also, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, sir, my own observation is in the area of rural electrification. I have seen good road networks, but certainly there is the need for the establishment of, even if it is a rural transformation agency, that will provide electricity for those rural areas. Similarly, in the area of agriculture, there is the need also for the state government to put in place veterinary centers in strategic locations to be able to help cattle rearers and headmen, address the issue of, the health of their, cattle. Finally, sir, my colleague in Retau had spoken about the need for job creation. It is not just about, the procurement of kekenapep, or rather, adede tesawu. As an Islamic inclined state, we have what we call adede tesawu in Kano, which is providing means of transportation to the teeming majority of our sisters, mothers, and the women folk. And I find it very nauseating and disgusting when I see two women being conveyed on a motorcycle, not just for the social aspect of it, but even for their health. Mr. Governor, sir, may I also crave your indulgence to solicit an appeal to the state government to make provision for this type of tricycle, means of transportation to ease the pains of women, particularly in rural areas, so that the good citizens of KEBBI states will enjoy, the dividends of democracy. Finally, let me say this: we are indeed grateful to our Honorable Minister of Information for giving us the opportunity, for giving Nigerians the opportunity to move around Nigeria, to assess Nigeria, to take note of what is happening in government, to be able to understand and appreciate the level of development in our various states, because that is the only way we can understand and appreciate ourselves. I must also say that in a rural state like KEBBI, I have seen delivery, I have seen service delivery, and we need more of that, not just in KEBBI, in all the states of the Federation. Mr. Honorable Minister, sir, I want to thank you finally for giving us this opportunity to move around and ensure that, yes, governance is happening, we are seeing delivery, we are seeing service, and we are grateful, and we pray that Nigeria progress. Thank you very much.
To stand before you to make my contribution as a representative of women in Nigeria, Nigerian women in diaspora, and also Nigerians and Africans as a whole. First and foremost, I would like to say this opportunity is one that I think should continue on a regular basis, because there's so many notions going across the nation and outside of the country about the state of our nation. But it is important to showcase why investors, why people that are our friends cannot do without Nigeria. It is indeed a growing economy, and it is indeed a country that is still holding strong to its democracy, and we are going to be getting stronger at that. Nigeria is still one, and Nigeria will remain one. Having been to KEBBI State, the state of equity, I think for me, what I would want to highlight, without repeating much of what has been said, is to highlight the good practices which the Good Governance Tour is able to highlight and bring to us all. First and foremost is the fact that KEBBI State is a debt-free state. I think the nation at large and all the governors can make do with this lesson. Nigerians are very, very interested in where our monies are being spent, and a prudent governor is one to be emulated. Another thing that I'd like to talk about is the issue of security in the state. The chief servant of the state, that's what I think he is, he's been able to explain to us why he has peace in the state is by working with the local governments, the community chiefs, and the people of his state, along with the federal government and the whole of Nigeria. It is so important to continue to hold strongly to our culture and realize that governance is about partnership. And when you have partnership, you have what is taking place in KEBBI State, where because of that peace and security, KEBBI State now has a blueprint of polio eradication that is being copied across the northern parts of Nigeria. I think that is another thing to be emulated. Lastly, I'm just going to quote Mo Ibrahim of Mo Ibrahim Foundation. I was once in his presence in a conference of African gathering, and what he said there was, let's face it, maybe Africa would not be the state to produce the next best technology, but maybe we can stick to our strength. And what is our strength in Africa? What is our strength in Nigeria? And what is being shown as our strength in KEBBI State is the fact that we can be the food basket of Africa. I'm very pleased with all I've seen in terms of industrial development in the state. All I would now ask the executive governor and the people of KEBBI State to do is to please showcase this more, not only to your state members, not only to the governors, not only to Nigerians, but to the world. The world is definitely watching, and they want to see Africa lead in this directive. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope to be in KEBBI again. Assalamu alaikum.
Honorable Minister of Information, permit me to stand on all other protocols. I will first and foremost congratulate and thank the Executive Governor of KEBBI State for executing meaningful developmental projects for his people. Sir, we thank you very much in the areas of health and upgrading women's status in the health facilities. Your Excellency, I learned that you have sent our children, daughters to abroad to go and learn in the area of medicine and all that. As it is being obtained all over the country, most especially in the Northwest zone, there is the issue of this brain drainage. Your Excellency, I will want to advise here that you put a strategy in place to avoid brain drainage so that the issue of maternal mortality and child mobility be reduced in the country at large and KEBBI State in particular. And I will want to solicit again, as my colleague from the National Council of Women's Societies have pleaded, we are still agitating for the 35% affirmative action of Beijing Platform of Action. Your Excellency, sir, we only saw one woman in your exco, in your cabinet. Please, 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 KEBBI states have intellectual women. We want inclusion of more women in your cabinet, special advisors, commissioners, and special assistants. This is my plea for women of KEBBI State. And Your Excellency, the Ministry of Women Affairs, the training, the skills acquisition center we visited, we saw so many things that were not found around. I will want Your Excellency to devise or ask the Ministry of Commerce to find a way of marketing these handicrafts for these women so that they can live a meaningful life and make money to sustain their children. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
So thank you very much.
Your Excellency, the Governor of KEBBI State, Alhaji Usman Nasamu Daikingari, members of the National Assembly who are here with us, members of KEBBI State House of Assembly, honorable commissioners and members of KEBBI State Executive Council, the elders and citizens of KEBBI State who are partaking in this Citizens Forum, members of the National Good Governance Tour, my colleagues from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First, Your Excellency, let me on behalf of the team visiting KEBBI State appreciate the arrangements that have been put in place for a successful tour of KEBBI. This shows that the state government is confident of what it has done, and it is willing to show to the world the results of the performances of his policies since the period His Excellency came to power. Excellency, the reason for the National Good Governance Tour is simply this. Nigeria has been under democracy since 1999. And sometimes the way we politicians behave, how we condemn each other, how we make sure that nothing positive is heard, sometimes it gives the impression that nothing is happening in this country. And as Minister of Information, I can let you know that I have my worry that our country is not discussing development. We are discussing personalities. We are discussing private and individual ambitions. We are not talking about progress. We are not talking about policies. And the media are not reporting development the way we should. And we believe that democracy is a system of government that is different from all others. in the sense that we seek power from the people on a social contract to work for them. And if we cannot let the people know what we are doing for them, then gradually their confidence in democracy will be eroded. And that is why we agreed, all of us, the federal government, the state governors, and everyone agreed for this tour to take place. This tour, Your Excellency, we didn't come to discuss partisan politics. We have come to discuss progress, development. When you tackle poverty, when you build a road, you don't build it for only the party in power. You build it for anybody, every citizen, including those who are not in politics. So development is the only thing that unites us. Whether you belong to a particular political party or not, you need a road, you need a hospital, you need a good market, you need health services, you need education. That is why we have a democracy. That's why we need a government. So we decided we should keep aside all other differences and discuss development. Your Excellency, this is the 17th state we are visiting since this good governance tour started. Now, this is also the first state in the Northwest we are visiting. We had earlier started with the North Central, but after that we went to the Southeast, the South-South. We are now returning to the North, and we have decided to come to the Northwest. Let me tell Nigerians that from the progress we have seen here, progress made by the federal government, progress made by the state government, progress made by the local governments, and progress even by the private sector, it is clear that KEBBI State has taken steps that in the next few years may bring it to the front seat of integrated development in northern Nigeria. Now, I want to start with federal government. Now, the president is very grateful to the people of KEBBI State because this is one of the states he received a lot of support throughout his career, and particularly in the 2011 elections. And the president unveiled a transformation agenda for Nigeria. That agenda is aimed in 3 areas for integrated development. The first area is human capital development. The second area is infrastructure. The third area is good governance. Now, with good governance, Your Excellency, you will notice that the way the president has ruled this country in the last 3 years has brought civility to our institutions. The 2011 election was different from the previous ones in the sense that it was adjudged to be free and fair. And since 2011 elections, even in this state, people went to court and go to election upturned. Why was this so? Because under this dispensation, the judiciary is working independently of the executive and will respect court orders. And when the election was upturned in KEBBI by the courts, the federal government and the state government respected the court rulings. But that is not the whole story. When the repeat election held, you still won by a wide margin in this state. And what it shows is that Nigerians are now exercising their right to vote and be voted for. And under this presidency, we have seen that gradually people are having more confidence in the electoral process, more confidence in the judicial process, more confidence in the institutions. That is how we should be. And the president is deepening reforms to make sure that from 2015, elections should be freer and freer and freer, and only those who truly work for Nigerians will be elected. And that is what we want, so that we can have a government that will perform and respond to the needs of Nigerians. Now, the National Assembly, the judiciary, and all other institutions have been working more vibrantly than we used to do in the past. That is even bringing more debate to government policies. And this is deliberate. The president does not want to gag any arm of government. We believe that if every arm is allowed to do his work, Nigeria will benefit. There will be check and balances, and all of us will work better. Now, if you come to the question of empowering citizens, the president has decided to target women for empowerment. Your Excellency, in the Federal Executive Council, the president has given women 31% of all the positions in the Federal Executive Council. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria where you have 13 ministers in very powerful ministries in this country. Ministries such as finance and economy, ministries such as education, such as health, such as defense, such as housing, such as education. All these water resources, these ministries are being run by women. And let me report, sir, from aviation to education to all the ministries, you have seen additional performance throughout the country. This is very, very important. And what this is telling Nigerians is that women can do the same thing that men will do. There is no difference anymore. All you need is the brain and the capacity and the good values. And the president is really now bringing Nigerian women to the forefront. It's an opportunity for them to shine and to do their best in national development. Your Excellency, in the north, the president has targeted agriculture. I don't want to speak on agriculture until we come to KEBBI. But in terms of education, human capital development, Your Excellency, you will see that in the last 2 days or 4 days we have been here, you notice that first the federal government has decided that every state should have a university. Why should some states have federal university and some will not have? KEBBI state is known as the state of equity. It is not equitable for some states to have federal universities while KEBBI and others will not have. So the president has just announced a new university for KEBBI state, and we are now working with KEBBI state government to ensure the takeoff of the federal university here in Birni KEBBI in 2014. In addition to this, the federal government, through the Tertiary Education Fund, which used to be ETF, it is now Tertiary Education Trust Fund. We are making massive interventions in higher institutions in the country, federal, state, and even private sector. Yesterday we went to KEBBI State University and we saw the number of projects being undertaken by the federal government in that university. Lecture theaters are being developed, laboratories are being provided by the federal government, and a number of infrastructure. In fact, the Vice Chancellor yesterday was so grateful that the President has made such huge interventions in KEBBI State University. But over and above this, we went to the Federal Polytechnic here in KEBBI today, and we saw that there is a lot of transformation going on there since we took it over in 2007. The new administrative block is ready. It is already being occupied. We have the convocation square. We have lecture theaters being developed by the federal government in this new polytechnic taken over by us. And the most important thing we saw in the polytechnic in KEBBI today is the equipping of laboratories and workshops to give polytechnic education sound footing. The federal government, just in the last 3 years, has equipped 51 polytechnics all over the country, giving them modern facilities, engineering, electronics, everything that you need to operate as a polytechnic, we are providing them. And we saw that the polytechnic in Bachi has had quite a lot of these facilities already provided by the federal government. So this is to emphasize the need for technical education here in KEBBI. And KEBBI is so crucial because in the north, KEBBI is struggling to take its seat educationally, and KEBBI has been really doing very well in education for a long time. So what we want is for us to partner with KEBBI State so that we can upgrade what we are doing in the state. Now, Your Excellency, if you also look at the Almajiri school we saw, the president promised in 2011 that he was confronted by the reality that 9.5 million Nigerian children in the northern part of the country were not going to modern schools. 9.5 million is more than the population of so many West African countries. And these children don't go to normal, the regular schools. Quranic education, religious education is number one. Because unless you teach people the fear of God, Western education cannot work. So Quranic education is very crucial because our children must learn their culture, learn their religion, learn to worship God so that they can serve man. But in addition to religious education, people in the modern world are in need of skills that will make them operate in the modern world and develop their society. And so the president decided that if one Nigerian child is out of school, that is very dangerous for the country. Because that one child, it be the Albert Einstein, maybe the Chinua Achebe, maybe the Wole Soyinka. That small child that you leave on the street may be the formula that will transform our country. And that is why the president insists that all these children must go to school. And presently, sir, for the first time in the history of our country, the president is building over 100 Almajiri schools all over northern Nigeria, including the southwest, including the south-south. We just saw the model school here in Birni KEBBI. Let me thank the governor for saying, look, he is going to do everything to ensure that the Almajiri integrated school here in KEBBI will be very, very functional for the children of KEBBI State. Now, let me therefore come back here. One thing that we have seen in KEBBI, because this is the first state I'm coming in the northwest. The people of KEBBI, let me make this clear. Like, in order to move development forward. And what have we seen? We have seen a government that is targeting the enablement of his people. Enablement of his people. How do you enable your people? You give them education. You give them the infrastructure for them to operate. And you also, give them the support they need to stand on their feet. And that is what we need in the north. Now, here in KEBBI State, I am impressed by the investment in education. I'm impressed. We have seen day schools being transformed into boarding houses all over KEBBI. All day secondary schools, boys and girls, the government is turning them into boarding houses to improve the environment for learning. We have also seen model primary schools that have been completed and are functional. And in addition to this, we have seen a new college of education that is being worked upon to provide teachers for KEBBI. Now, in addition to also this, we have seen special education schools to train people who are physically challenged with skills to make them stand on their feet and make their contribution to development. And when you add this to the infrastructure that the state government is providing at KEBBI State University of Science and Technology at Alero, then you will be sure that definitely, if His Excellency keeps his eyes on the ball and continues to invest and partner with the federal government, I am sure that in the next 10 years, KEBBI will be in the forefront of educational development in this part of the country. Now, what has also impressed me in KEBBI is the road infrastructure. The road infrastructure. Honestly, I think that if you look at the roads, particularly the difficult roads that go through the floodplains, the first one is the Makira Road, linking KEBBI with Makira on the road up to Niger Republic. We went through that road. It's a very difficult terrain, but the state government has been courageous enough to take on that road to bring communities that have been separated almost forever together in a new KEBBI State. Then the Gorondute Kawara Road. Again, another floodplain. You have seen a very strong road being developed, again, to link communities that have been separated by nature, so that they can be part of Bauchi, reduce the time and distance they move from one place, KEBBI, reduce the time and distance they move from one place to another, increase commerce, increase development. Now, those two roads, in my opinion, indicate the courage the state government has to do the difficult things that others have failed to do for a long time. And I think that is good. Now, the road network also shows linkages between all the local governments. And the roads are good roads. This is important for us. The roads are good roads. And they are sustainable roads. But I want to commend the governor, because in many places, like some of the people in the team have told you, you hardly ever see anything being done by the local government. But in Bauchi State, the first project in KEBBI State, the first project we saw was a local government road. And we have seen 3 other local government roads in KEBBI. Now, what it shows is that the state government is not taking over the resources of local government. And that is very important, because the third tier of government must be allowed to function with guidance. The idea of hijacking local government money and using it for other purposes is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. But here in KEBBI, we have seen confident local government chairmen that have received us and said, look, we have done this, we have done that, we have done that. let me praise the Algon in KEBBI State, because you have also not disappointed. You have not disappointed. Now, but I am talking about care, because government is also about care. Taking advantage of the power God has given you to look after the vulnerable. Now, when we were driving with the governor, he said, look, watch through burning KEBBI. You will see that there is no madman on the street. And I asked, what is the difference? He said, well, for the past 5 years, he has developed a program which was formally put together by late Professor Gwandu to take off from the street all people who are mentally ill and give them care. And we came and verified that this is going on. And we have also seen that the streets of KEBBI are free of mentally ill people. These people are being looked after. This is very, very important. And I said, if every state government will take off the mentally ill from the street and the socially vulnerable, then the care that government is supposed to show to people will be appreciated. And these people can also be treated and returned back to normal life. In this country, you think if people are mad, it's the spirit. It's not spirit. It's stress, it's disease, problems. So I think it's important that this program for the mentally ill in KEBBI be copied in other states of the Federation. We have also seen BBF, the Center for Mammography, that screening breast cancer for women. Now here, let me tell you that is good. At the federal level, what the federal government has done is to ensure that every federal medical center has cancer screening capacity. Every federal medical center, every teaching hospital in Nigeria has cancer, not just for brain cancer, cervical cancer, all ranges of cancer. We are doing this, and equipment have been supplied. A lot of training has taken place. But it is good to come to a state and see that states are also doing the same thing. Because it's one thing for the federal government to do it, and then you come to states, it is not being emphasized. Like I said, governance is a partnership. If you are doing something at the federal level and it is replicated at the state level, it gives it momentum and it helps people to understand, because the federal government does not have its citizens different. Whatever we do is for the citizens of the state. But I want to thank the governor here that he has taken the challenge to also provide these services at the state level, which enables the people of KEBBI to have greater opportunities to access cancer screening. Now, I want to come to agriculture, which for me is the subject matter for KEBBI. Now, when we arrived, before now, the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Adeomi, has been telling us at the Federal Executive Council that the federal government, through the program, the Agricultural Transformation Program, will make this country self-sufficient in rice production in between now and 2015. In addition to that, part of the target of the federal government is to create between 3 and 4 million jobs in agriculture between now and 2015. The Minister of Agriculture kept emphasizing KEBBI, Taraba, Ebonyi, and states in the range of rice production. Now, the reason for this talk is that we want to see whether the promises of the federal government, the state government, that we are making to the nation are really taking root in the field. Now, we have been in KEBBI in the past few days. I can say confidently to Nigerians that from the rice farms we saw in KEBBI, rice farms, green and others harvesting, I have every confidence that what the KEBBI state government is doing by providing pumps, providing tractors, providing materials to their farmers, and networking with the federal program in terms of development of seeds, in terms of provision of inputs, it is very, very clear that KEBBI definitely is going to take the lead in rice production for Nigeria. Now, this is very significant. Your Excellency, we waste billions and billions every year to import rice from Asia. which is really a shame, because Nigeria has greater capacity than most Asian countries to produce rice for the rest of the world. But here we have a country where we sit on our capacity. And this capacity is more in northern Nigeria, because the north has greater arable land than the rest of the country to produce food. And this is what the Sadona was doing in the 50s and 60s, by placing the north in the forefront of agriculture in Nigeria. Now, since that time, because we discover oil, the granite pyramids have disappeared, sesame seed virtually gone. Why will the north continue to sit on its own capacity when indeed the north can really earn more money from agriculture than we are getting from oil? Every day we go and sit in Abuja and argue about the revenue formula, whether there should be onshore or offshore, whether there should be 13% or not. What has happened to our own resources? Why can't each of us in the north, each of the 19 states in the north, is bigger than many states in West Africa and greater capacity, even more in population? If some West African countries, less than the smallest state in the north, are able to run countries, why is it impossible for us in the north to tap on our natural resource of agriculture to earn more money for the transformation of northern Nigeria? Now, this has been the challenge in the north. Whether you trace it to unemployment, whether you trace it to violence, whether you trace it, it is because we have not put our money where the strength of our people and their own comparative advantage lie. Now in KEBBI State, we are beginning to see this happen. The Zuru rice farm, and also the Suru, there is Zuru and there is Suru. What is common to them is rice. And I understand that in each of the 12 local governments, in 12 of the 21 local governments in KEBBI, rice is produced in commercial quantities. Now, what the federal government is doing in support of the governor and the people of KEBBI is, one, we have just supported a private sector operator to build 2 big, huge rice processing mills here in Benin KEBBI. It is being done by Labana Company. Now, the mills that we have inspected, which are almost being completed, will process about 16 metric tons of rice per day. Per hour. So, KEBBI farmers, the sky is no longer your limit. Please produce rice for Nigeria and earn billions and billions that we are pushing to Thailand, pushing to Canada to import rice. We want that money to come to KEBBI State. The second thing is, we have just completed the grain silos here in KEBBI. The grain silos will store about 100,000 metric tons of grains at a time. So you can see, no matter what you produce in KEBBI, it cannot be wasted anymore, because there is the storage, there is the processing, and we're also developing the marketing. So I think this synergy between the federal and state government in KEBBI State is now giving us the lead in the country for agricultural revolution in the north. And I want to call on all the state governments in the north to please come and take a look at what KEBBI has done in terms of supporting rice farmers. This is very, very significant. It's very, very good. Because what we want is for places to copy best practices from other places. And I think we are very happy with what we have seen here. Now, the president has said by 2015, he will not give anybody the authority to import rice into Nigeria. No more rice importation. Which means that KEBBI farmers, you now have the whole Nigerian market of 167 million people behind you. So please, produce rice, produce rice, produce rice. We also saw the onion capacity of KEBBI. Onions. We discussed with the governor, we must look for market outside Nigeria, anywhere in the world, for onions from KEBBI and other states in the north. And we must also, in addition, create the enablement for processing onions into finished products to add value, so that we can now export to supermarkets around the world from KEBBI. But these are all possibilities, and we'll work on them. Finally, Your Excellency, good governance is about security. Look, once you don't have security, you have failed. There is no question about it. Any state where there is no security, you can't say that there is good governance. And security is not possible until every state is doing the right thing. Security cannot come from the top. It must come from below. It must come from the village. It must come from the ward. It must come from the district. It must come from the local government. It must come from the state. What we have seen in KEBBI is that in spite of the challenges that have now become commonplace in all parts of this country, in KEBBI there is an organic link between security agencies, the state governments, down to the village level, down to the village head. And this is being done routinely. The ulama, the church, and don't forget that KEBBI is a multi-religious state. KEBBI is the only state in the northwest, really, where you have multiplicity of ethnic groups, you have multiplicity of religions here in KEBBI. And it's amazing that in spite of these differences, you are living peacefully with one another. There is no infrastructure, there is no project we have seen in KEBBI that can be comparable to the peace that we have seen. Because this is the model that we believe is necessary for this for not just the north of the country, but for the rest of Nigeria. I believe honestly that security is the number one duty of every state government. Because if your state is not secure, what else will you offer people, for God's sake? If you cannot guarantee the safety of your own indigents who voted for you, people who elected you to preside as a governor, as a local government chairman, as a councillor, what else will you do for them? Because you can be governor for 10 years, people will still have to go to farm to eat. People have to go to market. People have to go on their fishing. But when the environment is not conducive for them to do so, you have really condemned their life. Therefore, people of KEBBI, let me say that the scorecard we have seen here goes to the ordinary people of KEBBI state who have decided to embrace peace. Have decided to embrace peace. And with that peace, KEBBI will return its destination for tourism. You can see more people, tourists will come to Argungu more than ever before. An international airport is already taking off. Understand by the end of August, the airport will be ready. So people will fly from here to anywhere in the world. So that is the point. KEBBI is therefore, in my opinion, putting the infrastructure down for its takeoff. What we want is for every state to do similarly. If we all do what is right, then Nigeria will move faster. Now, Your Excellency, I will also congratulate you because you see, people think that the federal government is in competition with states. And I keep saying no. The federal government is a partner for the development of states. Now, you go to some places, people are wrangling over nothing. When the state works in flawless relationship with the federal government, your people will always benefit. But when you grandstand and decide to play politics over the survival of your people, instead of relating and taking advantage of federal policies, federal infrastructure, like in KEBBI now, the Federal Medical Center has just established another branch at Dakingari because the state provided an infrastructure. So that is the advantage. And His Excellency, because of that relationship, you can see that your effort is upgraded.